What's up, everybody? Welcome to this bonus edition of Talon Talk. I am Cloudy, and this little bonus episode here, we're going to be reviewing the entire season as a whole and going through every team in Talon Academy and just discuss a little bit about their season. With me, I have Lucky. How you doing?
I'm pretty good, slightly overtired, but we'll give this a go.
And I also have a slightly buzzed Boulter.
Who?
And there we go. There he is. So yeah, we are going to just basically review the season, and there's gonna be a nice little bonus content for you guys. It's gonna be on top of the normal episode we're gonna do this week, and kind of put a cherry on top of the regular season. We're gonna go in reverse order here. We're gonna start at the bottom of the ranks and work our way up. So, you guys ready to get started?
I am anyway.
You know it.
Alright.
Let's go, dude.
Let's jump right in. The first team we're going to go over here is Genjutsu. And man, this is a team that finished in, not finished, but in the regular season, they were in last place in their division, and they only won a couple maps throughout the entire season. So it's hard to find a lot of good things to talk about when we talk about Genjutsu. But that being said, Genjutsu was a team that started ranked 8th in our Week 1 power rankings. And they kind of just hung around the bottom of the rankings the entire season. They weren't able to find a way to put things together, weren't able to find a way to climb out of that last place spot in the division. And we're basically there the entire season. So, what do you guys want to say about Genjutsu? What do you think about their season as a whole?
I'll just say them winning a map in the last game of the season. It's probably a highlight.
That's a win. Yeah. That's a win in their book. Yeah, I mean, so we look back at their season, right? They started at the beginning of the season. They kind of went under new leadership over the season 2 off season, and they kind of looked a little promising with some of the pieces they had there. And Trainer was obviously somebody who kind of stood out season 2 and taking over the team and whatnot there. And then the season actually happened. They started out 0-3, and then after that, they kind of fell apart. Trainer obviously left the team, went under new leadership again, and never really put things together after that. And I mean, if I'm being honest, I'm blunt, I don't see too much hope with this team, to be honest. There's not much I can be like, oh, you know, they got a couple key people here if they can keep them around over the off season. But to be honest, I'm glad that they've stuck around as long as they have. It's hard being that team at the bottom. It's hard losing all of your games, obviously, especially when it's all 4-0s and whatnot. But the fact that they could at least keep people around on the team is very promising. What do you think about that, Lucky?
Well, I'll just say this. The last time they actually won a game was Season 2 quarterfinals.
Yeah, in the playoffs.
That says something. So it started even well before Season 3 began, because even when I was on VD playing up against Jen in the third place match, it was, I'm not going to say simple, but like it just seemed like, even like looking at it now in terms of looking at their whole general season for Season 3, it kind of concocted in the late stages of Season 2, and it's not been fixed. They tried to bring in new leadership, as he said, but simply nothing is it didn't work.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. And I hope they really do pick it up for Season 4.
Yeah. We'll see, and we'll see if how well they can stay together through the off season. And like I said, a team that's in that position is going to have a hard time keeping everybody there, but you know, who knows what the off season will bring. Not too much else to say there about Genjutsu, unless Boulter, you got something else there you could.
Nah, not a whole lot. Like, if they want to stay together, then that's pretty cool. Fair enough. But honestly, like if they're gonna call the team, if they're gonna call it a day at the end of the season, then again, fair enough.
Yeah.
They've had a hard time, but I think if they do keep the team together, then like they would probably be in a decent spot, or at least a lot better spot than they're finishing the season in
Yeah.
at the beginning of next season. They bring in like a few good players from the draft, and there will be a few good players available.
Mhm.
I mean, anything
Yeah.
could happen.
Yep. As with any
Just
team.
look at Aftermath, dude.
No, man, look at STG, but we'll get on to that in a bit. Like, but look at STG, like,
yeah,
they showed a bit of form.
And I think once we look at it, once we look at some of these top teams here, once we get farther down, uh, most of the teams that are towards the top are teams that have had a core for at least a season or a season and a half or so, and they've been able to keep these like core group of players. Most of their starters have usually stuck around through the rough times, and now they're kind of reaping the benefits of that. So any of these bottom teams could easily become one of the top teams next season. It's all about keeping that group of people together. So we'll see what happens with Genjutsu going into the off season. But let's move on to our next team. And our next team here is going to be the team that came in last place in division number 1, and that was Valkyrie's Descent. And there is a lot to discuss about this one because Valkyrie's Descent was a team we were kind of all pretty high on at the beginning of the season. When we started season 3, we looked at Valk's Descent and saw a team that came in third place in season 2, kind of stuck together for the most part. They looked like a strong team coming into season 3, and they were just never able to just put things together. They weren't able to get it together for whatever reason. They have a ton of talent, but they just couldn't, get the wins and get the ball rolling there. So Lucky, obviously you have some insight of kind of maybe what happened at Valk's Ascent, but to be honest, it doesn't seem like there's like one singular thing or one or two reasons of why they're where they are, but it seems like it was just a big group of things and maybe a bunch of little things that kind of let them fall into this spot. But what do you think?
Look, personally, I love VD, always will.
Uh-huh.
There was one big key issue that no matter what, most of us, I think there was a few of us in the team, we tried to pull together and we tried to fix it. It was just simply coming down to communication. Our split pushes, everything. It was just a concoction of a few things that massively messed us up for the whole entire season.
Yeah.
And then now obviously I departed. I went obviously on Aftermath now, but simply I think they might have got onto fixing what they needed to be fixed, because if we noticed, they started getting wins, and to be fair, they kind of actually started looking a little bit better.
Yeah.
And now I'm not going to obviously we've got a load of bad things written down here, but I want to have a look at some of the positives as well.
Yes, of course.
To be fair, they did leave it a little bit too late, but it wasn't their fault. Their schedule towards the end was a bit of a tough one.
Yeah.
And I feel like coming in maybe into the new season, they probably aren't going to maintain the same division, but it might work out for them where they might actually be going into season 4 as a prepped team. Maybe they would have want that for season 3, but we'll take VD. I'm pretty sure will be pretty happy going into season 4 with a kind of core, well organized team.
Yeah, when you have to end the season playing Zen's Garden, that's not usually the best scenario for any team,
especially when it is your playoff game.
Yeah. So
how does it feel to leave a team and then them to start winning? I mean, it must feel like a little bit rough. I mean, I know personally it wasn't your fault, any of those losses, but weird. They're like they sorted their problems out when you left. Even though I know, I know their problems. I know their problems are bigger than
this. I'll say hand on heart on this. The big reason why VD are winning, and I will not lie. There's a main tank I used to play with. He's on VD right now. It's the same with the DPS. Phoenix and Blitz are literally the core of VD right now. They are like Phoenix, you can't shut him up. Blitz, he just does what he has to do and he does it so well. And honestly, I wish I could have maybe sat down a little bit longer and thought about it. But look, things happen.
Mm-hmm.
They are literally they're going to be they're the shining light for VD.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, Lolly was actually talking about Phoenix on the last podcast that she was on, talking him up a little bit. So yeah, I could definitely see where you're coming from, and hopefully they can do it again. They did it once last off season and kept everybody together. So hopefully they can do that again.
Oh no,
going
they
into,
definitely will. They're a family.
Yeah.
It's VD. I love VD for how they run things.
Awesome. Um, so moving off of Valk's Descent here, let's look at another team here in SDG, finishing in 5th place in Division number 2. It's a team that kind of turned things on in the last couple weeks. We were kind of high on them, maybe Callum's all-in strategy kind of hyped them up a little bit. But when you look at the season as a whole, they started the season, at the beginning of the season, they were ranked 10 in our power rankings. And for the most part, this entire season, they've been at the bottom of the rankings. They never really they never really came out and climbed up the rankings and got those key wins that they needed, and they kind of just hung around the bottom of the rankings. And we kind of saw the same things we saw at the end of the last season come into this season with nothing new, I would say. It's a team that's definitely going to need some help going into season 4. Like you said, they're going to need some big players. They're going to need a couple of key transactions there in order to start putting them onto the map. But what do you think about SDG? Okay, I'll wait.
I was gonna let Boulter go in, but okay. I like honestly, I'm not actually sure what they need, because when you look at STG and the current meta we're in, you'd nearly rate them as a very good team going into this meta,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
We were always saying switch and he needed to do this, and then when he did, landed a double shield, which is definitely your Symmetra strat. I'm not entirely sure what they need. I think they need more synergy, more than just players. I believe if they just more grind together and kind of have, like, if you even look at the likes of Glass and Flood or any of the top teams, if you look at them, there's pure synergy. They know what they're doing. While with STG, it's kind of like, ooh, let's go in one by one and let's see what happens. They just need to be more unison.
And what surprises me with them is they do have a lot of players that have been there for a long time. Not just Roxas, but like Fireball's been there for a while. Veil Hades been there since the beginning of the season. Beetle, I know, has been there since the beginning of the season, I believe. Their co-captain's been there a while. So it's not like it's brand new players just coming together. It's a team that's been together for a while. So it's kind of interesting to see where they're at now. And it's kind of surprising that they haven't done too much this season. Boulter, what do you think?
I think SDG have underperformed all season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty rough. I think. I think they could have they just didn't click. Like they were a good 6 to 8 teams at the beginning of the season where I thought if they click and if they get their shit together, they'll push on.
Yeah.
Some of them did, some of them didn't. And SDG were
one of the
ones that just didn't.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the season they were getting towards it. I mean, just a tiny bit too late.
They definitely have some positive things to look at moving forward for sure.
I know Roxas is a good captain. He tries really hard.
Roxas is a great captain. Like we all know what it's like to lose, and like he stays there and he just looks at his team and he stays there. Like a lot of teams, a lot of captains, would just be, screw this, I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing as Genjutsu. It's good that they've stuck together for as long as they have and been able to stick it through, and hopefully through the end of the season here are able to see what they can do in these last 3 weeks. If like they started putting things together properly at the end of the season. So maybe they can make a run here in the last, in the, of course it's the consolation bracket, but maybe they can do a couple of good things there. So let's move on to another team that looked promising at times, but unfortunately didn't make the playoffs. That is TLM, Threat Level Midnight. Um, the start of this season, we had them at number 9 in our rankings. And at the start of the season, they didn't really have too much. It's kind of those transactions they made around like week 3 and week 4 or so, where they picked up Promi, they picked up Ginger, and they started looking like a very good team. And
Ginger?
they
Who? I never.
yeah, they had a few good a few good recruits, and they were looking like a top team. And in our, I think it was week 5 power rankings, we actually had them at number 2. So we all saw what they could have been, and then at the end of week 5 they fell apart, and that was that. um, they never recovered from the pieces they lost. Trill and Delirium obviously making the switch to Republic Rebels, not their fault or anything, but they went under new leadership, and they just never seemed to pull things together from the good position they had. What do you think? What do you think about TLM?
Oh, TLM is probably one of the roughest stories in the season. Like,
Yeah.
they could have been so much better than they were, and there's just 2 or 3 things that happened just really set them back, and it was just unlucky. Most of all, I think
Yeah.
these things you couldn't really foresee.
Yep.
There's nothing anybody did wrong, but
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. There's nothing anybody did wrong here, and it's kind of unfortunate. They were looking promising at times, so it does suck that they kind of ended where they did. Um, but yeah, what do you think, Lucky?
No, like as you were saying, week 5 we predicted them to be number 2, and that's mainly because of they probably picked up at the time because he's no longer in the league. One of the best main tanks in the league, which is Ginger.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the team actually followed him and actually like saw him as the best leader that they had. And then obviously we had to break. Well, we there was news broke that obviously Ginger was going to be banned from the league, which then therefore kind of like put like a bad feel on the whole team, and everyone was just so disheartened.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got to see TLM fall back down, probably back to where we had predicted them at 9 in the power rankings at the start of the season. So it's just, as you said, it's more unlucky more than anything, and it's like hopefully with the new leadership that they have, that they can bounce back and hopefully kind of get back up that leaderboard maybe in season 4.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, to be honest, I think what they're doing now. So a little insight here. I actually filled for them in their match yesterday, and to be honest, they sounded like a team that was very. I don't want to say family because I think that'd be going a little too far, but I think they definitely sounded like a team that has got things together, and they had good synergy in that match, and so I kind of got a little peek behind the curtain, but I know that they have pieces there that they could probably keep together through the off season and going into season 4. If they could keep the leadership that they have now, I think that they can actually start to put a team together that will be good. It'll just take a little bit of time over the off season. Maybe they can, and they did some good recruiting too. They brought in a few good pieces there, so they're definitely not afraid to go out and get the pieces they need. So definitely a team that's hopeful for season 4. Um, Now our next team here is going. We're going to talk about Eclipsed. They just missed the playoffs, which is kind of unfortunate because they actually had things fall the way they needed them to fall, uh, but they weren't able to pull out a win on their end, and that can sometimes be a little disheartening because you got so close. All you had to do was win, and it just didn't happen at the end of the season there. But they started the season at number 7 in our rankings. And to be honest, I'll be honest here, we did not have too much notes on this team because I think it's a team that has been middle of the road most of the season. They've had like some great games and they've had some really bad games, and I don't think they ever got like the ball rolling. They never got in that streak where like we'll see the good teams. They'll go on like a 2 or 3 game win streak. They'll get the momentum going that they need. It just seems like they were kind of up and down all over the place over the season. Constantly throughout the season, they were kind of middle of the road in the power rankings. They were middle of the road in the standings. They were never really like a team that stood out, but they were never a team that was horrible, if that makes sense. So, what do you think about Eclipse here?
I literally think, I'm not even joking, they're probably about one step from being a power team.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it is.
Yeah. And Houdini seems to be doing a good job taking over the team. And of course, they have some other good leadership there. I don't know how involved the other guys are still. They're other co-captains, but I know Houdini's been doing what he can to try to get this team together. Obviously, Houdini being a good main tank, and then they have some good DPS players. So you would imagine that, if they get a couple, like you said, a couple of good pieces, that they could be a power team like some of the teams we see. What do you think, Boulter?
Yeah, Eclipse is they're like the ready sorted team in the league.
Oh boy.
I mean, ready sorted team. They you have like they're standard. They're so close. They're so close to being a cheese and onion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but they just need some more cheese or some more onion, dude.
Oh boy. Here's the highly analytical insight from the man Boulter. It doesn't get much better than this here.
They've got. I mean, they've got some good players.
Yeah.
Let's not look past that. But they need like one or two standout players to boost them up to power rankings. All their players are very fucking solid. Every single one of them. But they need like something to enable them. A slick.
Is that what did it for us, huh? Is that you keep hinting at that? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, and it's a team that doesn't.
No, I mean, you put aftermath that. It wasn't just that.
Yeah.
But look at the catalyst for a team.
It's a team that right now, even right now, they only have 9 players on their roster. I think I just counted them right, but they do have a pretty small roster compared to most teams at this stage of the season. Usually, towards the end of the season, we see teams that they have the most amount of players that they do throughout the season. So maybe they can work out some of those roster issues and get some recruits in here and see how they can do. But like you said, yeah, there's a lot of good pieces on this team, and they do have a hopeful future going in the next season. And who knows what happens throughout the off season. So,
like you look at Houdini. Houdini is possibly top 3 main tanks in the league. That's what you need.
Possibly.
The Y1 is the best power in the league, in my opinion, hands down. Aquatic is honestly a great support. Hapo is great Lucio. Both great value. I mean,
yeah,
they got the pieces there. And Rob. Rob's a fucking good coach, dude.
Yeah,
and I love Rob.
Like I said, they're so close to making the playoffs too. So it's not like
I think next season they'll be okay.
Yeah,
they just fill the roster up with a few good more pieces, and
yeah,
they'll be good. They'll be good.
Awesome. And let's move on to another team that was very, very close to making the playoffs. Right on the bubble there. It's Guyana Gates. We didn't really see it. We didn't see it coming at all. Primarily because they started the season at the very bottom of the power rankings, and they were there for a while. Like the first half of the season, they were at the bottom of the rankings with Genjutsu and with SDG, with these other teams. But towards the second half of the season, they kind of put things together. obviously, I think it was like halfway through the season where Days left the team and Netflix took over, right? I think that was probably like week 4, maybe.
I think it was
Um,
earlier. I think it was earlier.
okay.
I
Well,
think so. I could be wrong. I think it was.
so I'm not sure if that's what it was, but it seems like the second half of their season has definitely been a lot better than the first half of their season. And they're a team that literally the only reason they're not in the playoffs right now, I think, is because of like one map loss or something like that. It was like really close. The whole it was no, it was because of a draw. They missed the playoffs because of a draw instead of a win. If they would have won the draw, then they would be in the playoffs right now. So it's like it's so close, and Division 2 ended up being so close for their playoff spots. So it's not like we could talk about them as like being a team that didn't make the playoffs and whatnot, because I think for them, I think it was still a successful season from where they were at the start of the season, and they started climbing, and maybe we'll see them climb over the consolation bracket and whatnot. But they were a team that towards the second half was looking pretty good, and they were in a playoff spot for a little while. So, what do you think about Guyana Gates here?
No, like as you were saying, we kind of always like even before this season, we always kind of saw Gehenna Gates being somewhat of a low tier team, considering that well, previous seasons they barely even had 4 players show up for a game. It seemed like a team that could have been nearly discontinued at a rate. And pretty much going into this season, then having a relatively nice sized roster, I was like, okay, maybe we'll actually get to see games this time.
Mm-hmm.
And we did. Now, obviously, towards the start, we didn't get really see much. It was just constantly getting absolutely thrashed. And then eventually something clicked, and I don't know what it was, but I'm pretty sure there are some teams in the league that would love to know what that was.
Yeah.
And they simply started showing up. And the worst thing is, and as much as you just said it, it was an insanely successful season for them. To lose
Mm-hmm.
out due to a draw is so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine the pain that they're in from that. But look, use that to motivate you to get better and guarantee your playoffs next season.
Yeah, exactly. Most of the time, a team that loses a captain and has to transfer in the middle of a season, they're gonna have a rough time through that transfer process, and the games after that can sometimes be rough. And they kind of worked through it pretty well. Um, and yeah, so I think they're another team that has a smaller roster size, kind of this on the same level as Eclipse, like we just talked about. So like you said, they with Eclipse, they fill in some of those gaps that they have, and they can be on their way up as well. Um, what else do you want to say about Guyana here, Boulter? You got anything?
Guyana?
Yeah,
Mm, Look, Boulter came in, sorted the team out. Now look where they are. They deserve to be in playoffs, dude. All
yeah,
they need is I came in, I made them a server, I brought a few players in. Organization. That's
yeah.
all you need to run a good team.
Yep.
Get people to practice and get people to turn up.
Oh, is this the
That
team that you
is
kind of
it.
helped out here?
That's all you need to do.
Is this the team that you kind of helped out here?
Yeah, one
Yeah.
amongst many. But
Yeah. Well, good on you. Yeah, they definitely picked it up towards the second half there.
I'd honestly just say, like, take this as an example for any other team in the bottom half of the league. It's not hard to change things around. Make a few changes. Be harsh with players. Tell them to jog on if you don't like what they're doing. Like, if they're not turning up to scrims, be ruthless.
Yeah.
And that's how you turn things around. You be harsh to people.
That's okay. So yeah, that's the
They
bottom
deserve
half.
they deserve to be in playoffs.
Yeah, I wish they would have made it in. It would have been a good success story there, from where they were at. Um, so that kind of wraps up the bottom half of this the league here. So now we're gonna move into the top half, and all these teams, the teams that made the playoffs. So talking about success stories here, I think this is honestly probably a success story. Is Darkmount Rebellion. Um, Honestly, coming into the season, a brand new team. I think anytime a brand new team makes the playoffs, that's going to be a good thing for them. I think it's a success for any new team. Both Darkmount and Shimada making the playoffs as new teams this season. So when you come in with literally a full roster of new players, it's hard to sometimes get those things together. They finished the year 3-4, both of the teams, so not an insane success, but they made the playoffs. They're in the position they are now. So yeah, so at the start of the season, I don't think we had them very high in the rankings. They're probably down around like 10 through 12, probably. I would have to take a look. I don't have it written down here. But the whole thing around this team was the fact that they had all the talent. They had a lot of good talent there, and it was just a matter of like if they could make things work and if they could get everybody to work together and work properly as a team. And they were able to get in the playoffs, as we saw, and if they could keep their core players together, I think that they will definitely have a very bright future, because I think they already did the hard part of gathering the players that they need. So now they just need to continue working on that and move in the next season with this great core of players that they have, and see what they can do. What do you think?
Well, when we looked at this team at the start, if you had told me that they were going to make playoffs, I would have told you you're stupid. You're retarded, mate. Like, why? No, and I don't mean in a sense of being harsh. It's just like you pretty much have a bunch of lads that love to flare off on people, and like it happened before. It happened in season 2 with Tornado. We had a little bit of a heated bunch. It wasn't working for the team, and the team kind of split there. And I was afraid that this was going to be the exact same again for Darkmount, but they addressed the issues. They got everything done. And watching them recently, like when they picked up King J, when they picked up a few other people, oh my God, this team is absolutely stacked.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like going into the playoffs right now, I would not go into these thinking easy clap, boys.
Yeah. Definitely.
Definitely not. King J Rex has got a tire waiting for you. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you're right. You're right though. It's a team that's kind of scary because they have all the players, and if they go on a good run, it's not a team that I'd be surprised if they make it to the finals, to be honest. Like, it's a team that has, like, even just the addition of like you said, King J, obviously. They also brought on Trainer partway at the end of the season there. They picked up some
Trainer as well, actually. Trainer, yeah.
and they obviously picked up Dizzy, so that's another one there. But they do have some great players here that, if they can get it to work, they can definitely go on a run. They'd obviously have to go through Glass and Foot to do that.
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up. I was going to say, that's a big ask.
I don't know if any team is going to be able to go through Glass and Foot in these playoffs, but we will see. I don't know that team. I think they're like probably one of the worst teams in the league, Glass and Foot, honestly. So
that's what I've heard.
Yeah.
We'll talk about them. Let's or unless you got anything here you want to say, Boulter, about Darkmount?
Nah, not a whole lot. Like, I think they just got their team together, and this is one of the teams that would have been middle of the pack, but at the end of the season, they just kind of pulled it off.
Yeah.
Just fair enough to them.
Yep. So side by side here is another one of the new teams. It's Shimada Samurais. They made it into the playoffs, snuck in. Obviously, they kind of got a little lucky maybe at the last week here to be able to make it into the playoffs, because there was a lot of other things that could have happened, and literally all the other teams that had to win didn't, or just didn't win enough, or something else happened. So they got lucky because they lost and were able to still stay, because I thought they were one of the teams that were going to drop out of it. But hey, here they are in the playoffs. At the beginning of the season, we had them ranked number 6, and they kind of hung around the top part of the rankings for most of the season. I wouldn't say top part of the rankings. I think they were probably ranked between number 5 and 7 most of the season. They kind of seemed like a good place for the Shimada Samurais, and it seems like a good place for them right now. That's kind of where I'd rank them even right now. So What do you guys think about Shimada here?
Well, considering, yeah, like as you said, when we kind of looked at them being a number 6, and we kind of always said they would always be the 4 to 7. I think as a new team coming into the league, that's a serious position to be in, because
Mm-hmm.
obviously we can always say that, oh, this team is number 1 and 2 and 3. We've seen a lot from that team. We know what that team brings. For a new team to be ranked that highly, that's serious. Like
Yeah.
Shimada, I think I really do rate Shimada. I think they actually have a really good core. Kurisu, Callum, their supports are fantastic. Honestly, I reckon going into probably even also yet again the playoffs, I think this is another team that could easily pop off, but they are beatable at the same sense. But yeah, no, I think it'll be a good showing from them. Hopefully, they can kind of push on.
Yeah, exactly. They do have some great pieces and definitely get some great DPS players on their team. Obviously, Kurisu being one of them. And obviously, just this last week they took Aftermath to 5 maps. So they're not a team that's completely out of it, and they are a team that can make a run if they can put things together. As can any team though. But I think all in all, I think their season as a whole, they never really lived up to like the hype. I'd say Callum obviously,
Callum's hype.
yeah,
Yeah.
Callum obviously being the one to drive that hype, but they never really lived up to that. To be honest, they every time they got to a game where it was like a must-win game, they had that game against Zen's Garden where it was like, okay, if they beat Zen's Garden, they're going to be a team that is going to finish second in the division, no doubt. And then they lost to Zen's Garden. And they had another game, even the one this past week against Aftermath. Like, okay, if you could win against Aftermath, that's huge, it's massive. They just couldn't beat the good teams. They beat all the bad teams, they just couldn't beat the good teams. And I think that's kind of where Shimada are at. I think Shimada are probably going to lose first round because of that reason. They just couldn't beat the teams that are good, like Zen's and Aftermath and whatnot. So, um, we'll
Good
see.
teams.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I just love the way he said good team. The only being after he
No,
didn't even
I
mention
meant
Glass and Foot.
no, I meant the
I
teams.
don't.
No, I meant the teams that they played. They didn't play Glass and Foot.
Yeah, but I just love the way you
All
left them out
right.
of the good team bracket.
It's all right, Boulter. I'll show you guys what a good team's like this weekend. It's fine.
I don't know who you're gonna play this weekend, but
Yeah, not Glass and Foot, right? Is that what you're gonna say? Yeah. All right. All right. Next team here is going to be Republic Rebels. This one's kind of interesting. This is going to be a good one here. Republic Rebels were at times third best team in the league, for sure. I think at times they had a great roster. They had all the pieces they needed, and then some other things happened. um, let's jump back though. Let's go to the start of the season here. Start of the season, they were ranked number 4, and that's kind of where they were at for the first like 2 or 3 weeks. I'd say they were at the top half of the power rankings, and they looked like they were going to challenge Glass and Foot. They really looked like a team that could do that, and we kind of all agreed, and we knew that they were going to finish second in the division at the time. And then I literally think it was like 3 days before their game against Glass and Foot, is when everything fell apart for Republic Rebels. Obviously losing Twisted and Xenon, and then some other pieces as well. Obviously Jade sprinkled in there somewhere, losing him. Um, and then we
who's that
didn't.
guy? That guy, like his name was like, I can't remember. This guy was super annoying, and
Oh, there's
I can't.
Boulter.
I can't remember. I can't remember. It was like Twisted or something.
Nah, maybe, I don't know.
Oh, it was Twisted. Oh, that's him.
Yeah. So obviously him leaving at the like halfway through the season, it kind of sucked because it was like the week before the Glass and Foot match, which we were all looking forward to because we thought Republic Rebels were going to challenge them for that spot, and obviously that didn't happen. Trill and Delirium left TLM to take over Republic Rebels, and at the time Republic Rebels were already in second place, so they were already in a spot where they could kind of make a run for the playoffs if they could get things fixed over there, and Trill and Delirium did a good job of doing that. Um, the first half of the season was definitely the best half for them, but it looks like now they're going to have a chance to prove some things in the playoffs and see what they can do. They're obviously going up against Darkmount, so we'll see how that goes. But as a season as a whole, I think the first half of the season was great. The second half was meh. It was very meh. Uh, we'll see how they can do, but I think they were definitely kind of like a middle of a road team. What do you guys think?
Like if I just look at the rankings the way they are now, I would completely agree with where they're situated, but I would have not have put them there with like I wouldn't have put them there with the team they have now. I think they might have got a little bit lucky considering well, it's unfortunate obviously everything that happened.
Uh-huh.
But I could only imagine what this team would be like going into playoffs now with like the likes of Xenon, Twisted, all that. Like this team, as you said, it has the potential to kind of I wouldn't say to outplay Glass and Foot, but definitely contend there.
Yeah.
And now kind of going into the playoffs and missing that potential. Now I do think that their support line is probably one of the better supports
Yep.
in the league. But like if you're going up against Darkmount, who is going to pretty much pile damage on top of you with the team they have, I'm kind of worried for Republic Rebels. But as I said, if they had the core they had at the start of the season, I think this would completely be a different game.
Yeah, exactly. Because they had a great team at one point. I mean, they were up in the like top of the rankings at one point where like because he wasn't even Ginger on their team at one point too. So it was
He
like
was actually,
it was
he
like
was.
it was like this great team, and then other things happened obviously, but the first half of their season was enough to get them into the playoffs, and in the second half they kind of just limped into the playoffs. I don't want to put it horribly, but like I think that they have a lot to prove that if they can kind of be that team that they were in the first half, because it's definitely going to be a big ask to try to compare yourself to what you were then to what they are now. But yeah, Boulter, anything here?
I think were probably the most unlucky team in the whole league. What's
Yeah,
happened to them? They
yeah,
just fell apart. Now
yep.
they're a whole new team.
Literally a whole new team.
But
uh, Good.
I mean, I can only like give Triller and Delirium props of what they've managed to do in this
Oh
last
yeah,
like 2 3 weeks. They've like turned the whole team around. They've made a new team, and now they're winning. Like they aren't looking too bad.
yeah, for sure. They
I mean,
they
we didn't have the strongest lineup out, but Glassenfoot, we lost the map against them, and they played really well.
Exactly. Yeah.
They
So
deserve that. They deserve that map. And I think coming into the playoffs, they should like be excited that
yeah,
anything could happen. I think
yeah, for sure.
because
And
really they don't know nobody else knows what they're gonna be like.
and like you said, it's a big prop to Trill and Delirium for leaving TLM to come to Republic Rebels and try to save their season, and they've done a great job so far, and um, it's definitely gonna be cool to see what they could do going forward here, because they do have the team to do it. So we'll see.
Exactly.
Um,
Um,
so yeah, now we're gonna move into the top three teams here. We have Zen's Garden here, who is definitely a solid number three team at this point. Um, they started the season first in the power rankings, and then they started the season and did not really live up to that. Obviously, losing the aftermath in the first game of the season, and then they lost another couple games there, and they did not look anything like Zen's Garden of season two. They did not look like that Zen's Garden at all. And then, out of nobody's surprise, really, the second half of the season came and they just turned it on, and they rolled over teams in the second half of the season, and they look to be in an amazing spot right now, going into the playoffs. And if I had to pick any team out of the teams that are currently in the playoffs, other than Aftermath and Glass and Foot, Zen's Garden's going to be the underdog team if they can make a run there, because they're definitely going to be a contender, no doubt.
That actually makes me laugh. You're saying Zen is an underdog.
Not an underdog. I'm gonna say like everybody's obviously got Aftermath and Glass and Foot as like
No, come on. Like
one and
Zen's
two.
Garden has always been an aftermath, always been an underdog. They were an underdog in season 2 when No Banana played them, and they came out on top.
What?
And they're still an underdog now, even because they've had a not so stellar season.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, if you look back at like week three, they're definitely an underdog. If you look back at like they just fell down the rankings. They were up at number 1, then they fell to number 3, then they went to number 4, and then they put things together, and now they are where they are now. I mean, they did not look like a great team in the first half of the season, and if you would have told me that they were they were going to contend for the finals, I would not have believed you in week 3 or 4. But now it looks like they're a whole new team, but with the same exact players. Like, that's the crazy thing, is it's the same exact roster basically as they were at the beginning of the season to where they are now, and they look to be putting on a good run. So let's look at their season as a whole, though. I'd say they had a successful season. Anytime a team comes off of a championship and now they finish second in the division and they look like a strong team, that's got to be a successful season, because you're going to be in the playoffs and have a chance to do the back-to-back thing. So we'll see if they can do that. But I think they're definitely in a position of having a successful season. Would you agree?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, like this is the thing now. Is history going to repeat itself?
Yeah. Hey, and they could go up against Glass and Foot in the finals if they can put things together properly, because that'd be interesting.
In the first, second or third week, we scrimmed against Zen's Garden, and they beat us like 3-1 or 4-0. I mean, to be fair, they did play a lot of cheese, but it's Zen's Garden, so they've just incorporated that now. Like, they've become the cheese team.
Oh.
They wouldn't say so, but Ryan, you've been put as the best Bastion main, along with Lolly, for a reason.
Yeah.
I don't think you'd be in that position otherwise, mate.
Yeah.
Good position or bad position, I'm not going to say, but yeah.
Yeah.
I always knew this team were capable of doing pretty good things. Like, yeah, they had to adjust for losing Serenity and Chaos, and I'm not sure who else they lost. Not sure if anybody, but they had 2 big losses for me. I mean, they were huge pickups for us. So, of course, they're going to take some time to adjust.
Yeah.
Lucky. And I remember what you said in week 1, where you got a hangover after winning after you win a title.
Yeah, exactly. Any team's going to be susceptible to that. So, I mean, we saw what happened to Brigitta's Baguettes in season 2 after they won season 1, and now they're all gone. So that's.
I actually forgot that was a team. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it happen. It was a team that won the championship and then came into season 2 and lost like all of their games almost. So you never know. What do you think here, Lucky?
Oh, look, what's there to say? Like, you look at their team and it's just simply utterly stacked. It's bloody disgusting. But I will say is that, yes, both seasons, like counting season 2 and this season, they did start off relatively slow. But by God, do they come out and it's like they take like a week or 2 to adapt to what they need to do, and then once they realize what they've got, they just go out and absolutely smash it. And I honestly think that it's going to be I'm predicting it's going to be an Aftermath ZG semi-final. I think Zens right now are so strong that I don't even think that Shimada are even any way prepared for what Zen's going to bring to him.
Yeah, and I just counted it now. They have 9 players on the roster that were there for their championship win last season. 9 players that they kept together from that championship run. that surprises me the most out of anything there, because that means they basically have a full team from last season and they know what they can do, and yeah, so we'll see what they can do in the playoffs here. The next team here is going to be Aftermath, and I could give you a synopsis of Aftermath season, but I'll let you guys tell me how Aftermath's done this season, so I don't sound too biased here. Lucky, why don't you tell me what you think of Aftermath?
Oh god, why did you give it to me? Oh,
Well,
okay,
you've been on Aftermath for like maybe 6 days, so it's
shut
fine.
up. No, I'm not gonna lie. Going into this season, I didn't think much of Aftermath. I'm not going to lie. I didn't really know too much about Aftermath. I just knew that the previous season, it wasn't so good, but it wasn't so great or bad either. It was kind of like a bag of like meh. And I suppose I don't know. It's whatever you did during the whole off season. I suppose you literally just click this team all together, and all of a sudden it's a united front, winless. Winless, lossless league for season 3. Honestly, I think you have such a real good core. Hashtag clean poopy for best main support in the league. You've got Icebrand. You've got where can I go? Like even Slick as well. Everyone on this team, like even only on the team 6 days, and I can already see like honestly what you're working with, and it, like Aftermath definitely do deserve where they are right now. And honestly, I am praying that it is going to be an Aftermath class and foot to really break the tension and see who actually will deserves to win. But no, honestly, I think Aftermath they've had a really good season. I actually can't remember where did we actually put it in the power rankings. I'm actually not entirely sure.
At the beginning of the season, Aftermath were number 3.
Yeah, I thought they were kind of like somewhere around there. Yeah, so going into the season, they even looked promising as well. Now, to be fair, as I said, I didn't out them, but by God, probably about 2 or 3 weeks later, I know who Aftermath are now, and obviously I'm part of the team now, so obviously I definitely know Aftermath are. But no, they're definitely to stand in front of the league along with Glass and Foot.
Yeah, and I'll give you my perspective just real quick.
Yeah, you'll give a way better one. That was terrible.
No, I just don't want to be too biased here. Now, so season 1 Aftermath finished in dead last. Season 2 we finished like just outside the playoffs, and in season 3 we came in and with generally the same roster as the end of last season. We had a couple people leave, but for the most part, we had a core of players from last season that we were able to put together and move into this season now. And obviously, there's some major additions during the off season. Obviously, one of them being Slick, but also some others as well, like Angel Boom and some other ones that have just been very clutch for us. Devin's been really clutch for us as well on the off tank. Another pickup we made like week 1 or week 2. So it's definitely like a mixture of a core that we had last season mixed with some of these great players that we were able to get, and we were kind of lucky to get a few of them. But you know, we're in the position we are now, and I hope we can continue. Boulter, I will let you give your opinion here, as long as you don't talk too much smack.
Cloudy is sensitive right now.
Okay, all I'm gonna say is there's not gonna be any smack talk here. I swear to God. I watched the first Aftermath game, thinking, oh, I'll support my boy Cloudy, and then the way you use Symmetra against Zen's Garden, I thought this team is gonna top this division easy. Like, no doubt about it. After the first week, easy. The coordination of your team, it was probably nothing I've ever seen from anything of this rank before. Like the way you pushed into their backline all as one. You must have all gone through that teleport about 10 times in a row within like 2 seconds. And Sense Gardener was left there like, where are they? Oh, they're behind us. And then because it lost their sincerity, they were like, zzz, and by the time they turn around, they were dead.
Yeah.
Like, and you've had your bumps along the way. You've had like,
one or two close calls, but
yeah,
really there's been no doubt at all across this season that you mean the dominant team in that division.
yeah, yeah. And you're right. We've had a couple really close games with one with TLM, and that was before they kind of fell apart, and one with Shimada just this past week going 5 maps. So we've definitely had a couple of close calls where we almost lost, and it literally went to a map 5, which in most scenarios can kind of be a coin flip of who wins those ones. But it was definitely a very successful season for us, and we're looking forward to moving to the playoffs here. And one thing I did just realize is everybody currently on here, both Boulter and Lucky, have all been on Aftermath, so so that might be a little bit too much
Damn, I
bias.
didn't even realize Boulter was on.
Yeah, Boulter. I drafted Boulter. What was that, season 2 or was that season 3?
Yeah, I was on there for about a month.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe a bit longer. Maybe like 4 or 5 weeks.
Yep. Yeah, season 2. But yeah, so let's go on to the other powerhouse of the league right now. That's Glass and Foot. And I'll be honest, I'll be completely blunt here. I slept on Glass and Foot for way too long. It was probably like the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season, I was totally sleeping on Glass and Foot, and then you guys obviously showed what you can do. And obviously going undefeated this entire season is something that I just realized this the other day. Season 1, Season 2, nobody ever went undefeated besides this season with Aftermath and Glass and Foot. So it was kind of something cool to see. But yeah, Glass and Foot season obviously been successful. Obviously one of the top teams in the league. They've got one of the best rosters in the league, probably the deepest roster, I'd say. I mean, even your bench players are just so good. So it's the reason that I've put Glass and Foot number 1 in my power rankings for the past couple weeks. I think that it's probably one of the best teams Talon Academy is probably ever going to see. But, you know, and that's coming from me, so so I won't talk too much about them though, so that I don't give you guys too much props. Lucky, why don't you tell me what you think about Glass and Foot?
We'll wait for the weekend.
Yeah.
Right. I haven't got much really to say other than like simply what you've just said. But what I'll say is,
where were we placed at the beginning of the season?
I will look. I'll look right now. Glass and Foot at week 1 we're placed number 5. Oh, that's not horrible. You're number 5, and then it was only up from there. So actually, week 2 you were ranked number 5 too, and then week 3 you were ranked number 4, and then the rest is history from there. You're ranked 2 and then up to 1. So the lowest you ever were was 5. But go ahead, Lucky.
Rudely interrupted.
Classic,
no, like
classic
honestly,
Glass and Foot player.
Honestly, look, there isn't really much else to say, Cloudy. But what I'll say is, nobody can do what Glass and Foot do. Like it's Lolly touched on it in a podcast that she was on. It was 2 weeks ago, I want to say, where simply you could watch. Like, 'cause I know Boulter, obviously, you stream all your scrims and all that. I totally don't watch them. Totally don't. And, like, honestly, like, if you try and copy what ye guys do, you're not going to do it because ye guys just have so much more synergy than any team possible in this league. And it is true what Cloudy just said. You're probably the best team that Talon are ever going to get. In this league, I don't even think you could get a team close enough to even how good and how synergized and a pure core that you guys are ever in this league.
Yep, couldn't agree more there. What do you think, Boulter?
Well, that's all fair enough, but
he's blushing right now.
I don't think. Maybe we have natural synergy, but we play together a fair bit, right?
Yeah.
And I think what it is we have a core of me. I don't even play much, but me, Jake Hurley, legit. The 3 of us just drive for each other as much as we can. Like the amount I've pushed Jake Hurley to be a better main tank is ridiculous. Like I have screamed and yelled at him to shot call better, like
given him so many examples, and just like held his hand until like now he is such a competent shot caller, and he is the best in the league at it. Like he is hands down, he is excellent.
Yeah.
And with legit, even with like legit, like he overextends. He's fucking DPS Mario. Every time he does it, me and Collie go in at him so hard. We fall out. We fall out so often because we're on each other's backs. But like we're on each other's backs, and then we go, okay, like we're all friends. We can come back and then just like improve on what we did wrong. And that's just like the ethos we have across the team. Like someone might dig in at you, but just know that it's from like a good place to get the team better. Well, a lot of other teams just might fall out. I think maybe because like some teams say they're a family, but then the family has to be able to like give harsh criticism and then be able to move on and still be friends.
Yeah.
And pretend like nothing's happened, basically. Which a lot of people struggle with.
Definitely.
And I think just the depth of the team is just absolutely unreal. I mean, Casual who? Smurf?
Yeah. You guys proved everybody wrong with that needing Casual for sure.
He is the best and was the best DPS player this league will see. The guy was ridiculous.
Oh yeah. And good.
I mean, I saw Bigfoot wasn't happy at TLM. I snatched that guy up straight away. I've seen what that guy can do. Like instantly, I can highlight players and I'll just say that's what I want. And between the three of us, we'll find a way to get them.
Yeah.
Like we'll just pick and choose our moments, and then we have a list of players in my head who I think are good. And if I see that you're unhappy that you're in a team, then yeah.
Yeah, and
I'm not gonna go poach you, but like if you're unhappy, then you're gonna be leaving at some point or another.
He's just gonna bring you into his team and scream and shout at you.
I'm just gonna be the first one there. What I told to Ellis the other day is, do you want to be a team where you're loved and everyone sucks your dick? Or do you want to be a team where everyone drives you and pushes you to be better and you might not get into the team every week?
Sign me up, coach.
Yeah.
Hey.
There's only one. I mean,
No,
some people like that, but
no, what I mean, like that's what you want though, because like there's no point someone saying, "Oh my god, that was amazing." Really, you're trash though, you know.
Yep, for sure.
They're not the players we want.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's just a quality recruiting, quality of playing together a lot, and
yeah.
Yeah, just like forgiving mistakes and learning from them. I would say the big key pointers for any teams to come out stronger.
We've spent far too long talking about Glass and Foot, so.
Dude,
I'm just giving a crash course 101 of how to make your team. I'd take this and learn.
Yeah, we should sell this shit.
Build a team.
Nah.
This podcast is gonna cost you $5.
Yeah.
Donate to Boulter's PayPal.
That's it. For the low price of $5. We could even do a payment plan. You can pay us like $1 a week. It's fine. Anyway, yes. So just to wrap up Glass of Foot real quick, it's a team that has no weaknesses in my opinion, and you guys are gonna be obviously the favorites throughout the rest of season 2, hands down.
3.
I just want to say that I'm
Season
worried
3,
to play Aftermath.
Well, I'll leak it here. It is confirmed. Streamed and casted Glass and Foot versus Aftermath scrim this weekend. It's going down. And tomorrow's podcast I'll release the time. So there's some hype.
I push that team so hard because the fact of winning 4 every week makes people think you're invincible. Like,
oh yeah. Yeah, we've dealt with that.
Thinking, this is lost. This is a loss because we're against Glass and Foot.
Yep.
And then you've won the game before you've even started.
Yep.
So that's why I push for 4 every week. Never mess around in the last map.
Yeah, we've had our fair share of like, oh, we're so good, and I've had to like kind of tell them like, no, we haven't done shit yet. All we did was make it to the playoffs. There's nothing. We have not done anything yet. So
put your team against a 3K team, and then
yeah, exactly my point. Yeah. So all right, that wraps up our season review. I think as a whole, I'll just put a nice cherry on top of this whole thing. I think as a whole, season 3 was a huge success. I think we've had some great teams. We see some great players. We have some great new players coming to the league. Some great personalities. Season 3 has been a lot of fun for me, and I hope for you guys it's been fun as well. I think it's been well ran from all perspectives. Stream Team's done a great job of keeping on their shit, and Trill's done a great job of keeping them on their shit. But I think
not easy.
not at all. But yeah, anything else you guys want to say here?
Look out for playoff trailer coming soon. Actually,
ooh, leaking it.
It's not confirmed time or whatever, but it will be there soon.
Soon. That's all we get. Soon.
Yeah, subscribe to twitch.tv/Jay Curley.
For fuck's sake, I do.
Alright. Well, that's enough for me. Alright, guys. Thank you for listening. We'll be back tomorrow or the next day with the normal podcast as scheduled. So be on the lookout for that. And I'll see you guys later. Peace.
Peace.